People do a lot of things that I think aren't really designed to generate the best possible version of the species. Older parents produce children with more defects, mental and physical, than younger parents do. And if we really were driven by the urge to produce people with the best possible genes in the next generation, we wouldn't have society set up the way we do. We wouldn't have people lengthening their childhoods by spending vast numbers of years in post-secondary education, which they end up typically not being able to market in a lot of cases, or before they can have children. So we would have a younger entry into profitable employment, not an older one, if we really cared about the viability of the species. Instead, we have the childhood essentially extended by people staying in school, doing the things they did as children and continuing to do them. Another way I think this doesn't work as a model of people being driven by the urge to produce the best possible offspring is the pairing of an older partner with a younger one who has the resources and the other one who has the good looks and so on. Because you've still got one old parent, you're not going to get the best production of offspring out of that. But there is a trade, I think, being made there, in that both people are looking for youth in some way. The older partner can feel young by being with the younger one. The younger one can persist in youthful behaviors by being taken care of and given resources and not having to go out and act in what are called prescribed adult roles. People are neotenous. This has been acknowledged by scientists, in that they live longer than they should. Typically, bigger animals live longer than smaller ones. Elephants live a long time, but they still don't live as long as humans do, even though humans are smaller. So people break the trend. And we've evolved in a lot of ways by trying to extend our youth as much as we can and have longer childhoods. This is not fully acknowledged, though, I think, in that the ways that people come together to have children aren't looked at in terms of everything that the partners are looking for. Do they want to have another version of half from each person, or are they really looking to perpetuate themselves, reproduce their own cells as they are? I think we're underestimating how important the second one is as a motivator, because people feel temporarily younger after they've done what is supposedly an activity that is just for the production of children. There's also, I think, in much of my channel, you can see what people like and how they respond to it and the metaphors they use in expressing how they feel. Because I'm doing something that represents a reclamation of what people shouldn't have lost as children. I'm getting my youthful voice back. I'm getting the range back that people lose when I think perhaps the educational system beats it out of them. Because if you don't have creativity, you don't have a means of teaching and just enjoying and expressing yourself as you are in making your noises that come out of your throat. So if you disconnect people's creativity, if you shout it down, say that's not important, you're not going to make a living doing that, we don't want to hear that, that sounds stupid or whatever, then people can be shut down and lose the ability to make notes in that interval. That is part of the equation. Of course, optimally, I'd like to be able to make both ranges of sounds. I'd like to be able to make the noises. The lower pitched ones are associated with maturity and longer vocal cords and having more time to develop the voice. But the responses I get, which people express in certain, sometimes not community-friendly ways, are, I think, ultimately it is an expression of the youth drive. I think people actually do have a drive for youth, but it's not stated directly as such, that they get pleasure out of being exposed to something that would make them younger, which is of course what I'm trying to do. I'm essentially trying to mass produce youth, which I think would be the ultimate enjoyment someone would have, in that you wouldn't just feel young by being close to someone who's younger. You would ultimately be made young by being associated with someone who's pursuing youth. That's what I'm really trying to do here, and which people really don't have the language for, because we typically don't think of people as being motivated by the drive to just keep themselves young and reproduce within themselves